This video was sponsored by Throne, supported by the patrons of the Lazy Eyebrow, and made possible from the watch time and comments from viewers like you. Thank you!
So then I says to him, "Look, Magnus, I got better things to do tonight than stick around here."
Wow! Goodness! Wow!
What's wrong, Wheelie?
Energon cubes I helped to move. Threw my spine way out of groove.
So, is that why you're all hunched over? You're not trying to get out of work today, are you?
I don't think I can. Try as I may.
We Grimlocks say no rhymes today!
Why hello YouTube, greetings from the Lazy Eyebrow to the stop motion review for Studio Series 86 Grimlock. A highly requested review since that poll that was ran a few months ago, and here it finally is. Now, I normally start my reviews in their alt mode, and given Grimlock is mainly in Dino mode more than anything, in fact I'm fairly certain his bot was never seen in the movie, this does beg the question, is this his alt mode, or is this his alt mode? Should he just be listed as robot dinosaur that disguises himself as a humanoid, or is the Dino the alt mode after all? Choice A, choice B. Forget it, we'll answer the question later. For now, let's start with his pack-in accessory. This is the stop-motion review for Studio Series 86 Wheelie. Wheelie is a trash figure. I don't know why this was done the way it was, and it genuinely bothers me that this was what they decided to pack in, as opposed to his sword or something for Grimlock. That's not to say that a non-transforming Wheelie wouldn't have worked, though. All things considered, I was actually thrilled when it was announced that a static figure would be coming with Grimlock to reference that time that Grimlock was ridden to Golden Corral in honor of Oreobot.
Oreobot! No!
Like, this is Wheelie's alt mode. It's the epitome of a nothing car. If we actually got a Wheelie robot that was just a robot but had basic movement, I would have declared this to be my Wheelie and never even considered buying a Legends or a Core Class figure of the little guy ever again, because this is all I need for the Dr. Zeus-loving sidekick of Season 3. But instead, we're given a character as an accessory, who also comes with his own accessory, the slingshot he had in the movie. This isn't a bad inclusion, mind you. It looks the part, and Wheelie's hand is permanently molded in his slingshot firing position like he's pulling back the pouch to fire off energy things? What even did he fire with a slingshot? The concept sounds silly now that I really think about it. Anyway, the slingshot itself is a 3mm accessory, which means if anyone else has one like Core Class or these KO Diaclone figures, Wheelie gets a blaster or Diaclone gets a portable flux capacitor. Conversely, it also plugs into display stand ports, so if you're wondering why Cup acts like he's got a stick up his butt all the time, it's because Wheelie put it there. As for articulation, he comes with a head on a reverse ball joint for your spinny action and nearly useless tilt. The straight right arm can go out and spin on a ball joint, and the left arm can also spin, but has a cutout specifically for allowing the arm to go in front of him for the slingshot pose. The waist is ball jointed for spin and ever so slight crunch, and finally the thighs. They open up like he's the World Thigh Master Champion, and they also reveal his 3mm leg port. We'll talk about these later, but for now you can also store a slingshot here if you really feel like it. Besides that, you can forward and backward action them. And that's it. No elbow, no wrist, no knees, no feet, no thighs, no bicep, nothing like that. But hey, don't fret, he's got an ab swivel. So what poses can you actually pull off? Well, he can look like he's in the middle of tripping. Print yourself a chair and have him sit. Dabby McGee in case you needed another reason to dislike Wheelie. Or his intended purpose, ride the big gray dinosaur. How does he accomplish this? Well, Grimlock has these 3mm ports on his neck, almost like he forgot to take off the props last time he entered a Frankenstein's Monster Lookalike competition. These 3mm ports tab into the knees so that when you look from a specific angle, it looks like Wheelie is riding Grimlock with pride. The reality of it is, if you look at it from any other angle, it really just looks like Wheelie's trying his darndest not to fall off. I have kids that like shoulder rides. I know what stage of the ride this is. But again, these are 3mm ports. By no means are we limited to just Wheelie. The Diaclone KOs fit here too for some reason. Or the little-known Cybertronian problem where if it's not kept in check, sometimes you'll just find Decepticons stuck to your neck. As for the rest of Grimlock, though, he's such a fantastic representation of his primary mode. Like, just look at this thing. Doesn't matter what angle you look at this figure, it's just been crafted with such a love for Grimlock. Like there's the tail with the 3 colored rectangles that make their way up to the spot where a Diaclone seat used to be. The sides of the tail up to the neck are rife with molded detail, not to mention the legs themselves contain a metric ton worth of agreeably mechanical design that is just so visually interesting to look at. Like none of those oversimplified cartoony panels. No way! We're going the full 9 yards to make it look like Wheeljack and friends built these into be industrial grade mechanosaurs built for all sorts of heavy duty nonsense. Even the interior of the leg showcases such detail. Like, look at those industrial-sized power pistons to support the girth of such an immense robot. On a side note, the hands are visible here, and of course you can buy an upgrade to cover over it if it really bugs you that much, but it really doesn't bother me, I'm just mentioning it if it interests you. On the chest, his Autobot badge is shown brightly with more of the mechanical detail, and finally we come to the head. From one side, this is about the best Grimlock that has ever Grimlocked in the history of Grimlock. That being said, on the other side, we see the best Grimlock head with screw holes that has ever Grimlocked with screw holes in the history of Grimlock with screw holes. It's a little unsightly when you're looking for them. Me personally, I just tune them out like visual noise. Like, given the option is a face with screw holes, this wide-hipped combiner, a gimmicky masterpiece head-wagging thing that has never properly scaled with anything, or whatever this was, screw holes are fine, thanks. Now, another issue people seem to have is the missing front teeth. Again, with how amazing the rest of the figure is, it's just not something I really care about. If it bothers you that much, there's a bunch of upgrades you can get that fill any of these with teeth. Or you can print your own, but in general, is it really that big of a deal? Inside the mouth, though, is another neat feature. There's another 3mm peg in there. This is meant to be able to take any of the thin blast effects and plug them in and have them breathing fire on a Quintesson's back or face or whatever. I don't know, they have eyes in the back of their head, everything's a front on them. But that's not all what you're limited to do, though. You can plug in your diaclones, or your sound waves, or if you have Nightbird, that little extra stick to extend the length for bigger blast effect parts.
Alright, Jazz, go scan on node 1.
Alright.
Hey Optimus,
can I do?
you know how last time I powered up the Dinobots you said they were too dangerous because they set the base on fire?
Yes, I did say that. Giving something with that little intelligence a flamethrower was probably not your smartest idea.
Yeah, I'll admit that one was kinda dumb on my part. Well, I can safely say with my adjustments that it won't happen again.
Oh, please tell me there's no flamethrower in there.
Of course not. I don't like to make the same mistake twice, you know. So I installed a Gatling gun in the back of the mouth and...
Really anything is possible if you use your imagination and have a bunch of 3mm stuff. As for articulation, the head can look up and down on a hinge, the mouth opens up a decent amount, the neck rotates the full way around, the shoulders are on weird ball joints, but on the upside that does allow Grimlock to spin them the whole way round. Ugh, that's a little gnarly. Legs splay all the way out and rotate the full way around on a 24-point ratchet system that feels sturdy enough to hold the weight of the bulk of the dino in any pose if the balance is right. It's a really well thought out joint. Speaking of well thought out joints though, the knee is on a double hinge to allow the knees and the elbows of the respective modes to bend in the correct direction. Very clever, very appreciated, and look at the range too. Like man, this dino is built with such versatility he can just ascend stairs and have the most satisfying stair climbing animation I've ever pulled off. Or if he's got an itch, you can easily scratch behind the ear. Except that's kinda silly. Obviously he would just transform his hand to scratch an itch. Duh. For size comparison, Wheelie with chair. Kingdom Dinobot and Kingdom Megatron. As much as I love the industrial dino facsimile, you gotta admit Megatron does do the T-Rex justice. For other comparisons, Studio Series Cup, Blur, and Hot Rod, and Siege Springer. Because this is, as you know, a movie-inspired take on Grimlock. I personally quite like this scale, and I'm really happy they made Grimlock a proper leader for this. Like, he really fits in well with your 86 crew. But of course, he isn't limited to just that. Your Season 1 characters like Wheeljack scale fantastic too. You also have Ratchet, Optimus, Inferno, Red Alert, Jazz, Blue Streak, Cliff Jumper, Sea Spray, Bumblebee, or Gears. Basically, no matter what your chug collecting interest is, whether it be third party or official, Grimlock tends to work with all of them. Because he's just great. I mean, like, as far as official Grimlocks go, this is it. I feel like he's peaked. Aside from a few tweaks here and there, you could easily upscale this to Masterpiece, and I personally would slap the seal of approval on it. Basically, never before have we seen a Grimlock in the mainline release look so close to what we remember as a Grimlock, and that's just fantastic.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
Have you ever wanted to show support for your favorite creator while also being in a chat room setting where you can talk and chat and have fun and be all good old buddies? Well, thanks to this video's sponsor, now that's possible. Throne is a chat room service where for a monthly subscription fee, you can have access to your favorite creator in a large chat room-like setting while also showing your appreciation and support for the content that entertains you! I've set up my own room, the link of which to join can be found in the description or in a pinned comment down below this video. For those that join before July 1st, I'm making it available for those users can join for free and will stay free forever, but those that join after July 1st, that will be a bit of a paid description. So again, thanks to the sponsor Throne, and I hope to see you all there.
We now return to the Transformers.
To transform Grimlock, start by cracking open the tail and opening up these underbits. Accordion hinge the tail tip into those panels and then fold the legs out. Fold the calf covers in and unfold the feet. Flip out the hand and rotate the arm down. Rotate the head up and flip around the neck to make a backpack. Open up the dino chest to make his wings. Fold up the head, then rotate the whole of the chest up into position. Transforming Wheelie, on the other hand, only takes 2 very easy steps. And you're done! Like, good grief, what a very simple transformation. Very faithful to the toy. The cartoon, just about any way you've seen G1 Grimlock transform, it does it, while still maintaining a great dinosaur and a fantastic robot. Like, this front is exceptionally clean and commanding, but that back? Look at how clean it all is. No hollow backs of legs. No random bit of alt mode we didn't know what to do with, so here's a butt flap. No empty backpack that needs covered up by the trunk accessory. No nose cone spine, space boat backpack, none of that. Just the cleanest robot mode that came from the cleanest alt mode. It's just sublime. The transformation itself, like I said, upscale this and call it masterpiece because it outclasses MP8 in its elegance. Like, look how solid that leg is. The only anything I wish were different is the inside of that tail to match the rest of the leg, but other than that, it's just a completely solid leg the whole way around. The level of engineering that went into this to make it what it is screams nothing less than a designer's passion project, much like Cyclonus was. Even something as innocuous as the thighs. They went the extra mile to make them 2 pieces to conceal any gappage needed to happen due to mold constraints, and it just goes that much further to solidify the visuals that he is a solidly built tank of a robo-dino. Up at the back, we see all the robot kibble that is just what you identified Grimlock as, like, that just is what his robot looks like. The neck of which contains a 5mm port where a certain sword would go. The legs look great, and the thighs and waist are built like a truck. About the only hollow part out of all of it is just the forearm where the hand used to be, which is fine. If that's the only compromise, that's far from the worst thing ever. I mean, this could be your alternative if it bugs you that much. In the meantime, though, you can stuff it full of Pikmin or even Grimlock's beer supply. You know he's the kind of bot that's always good for another round. On the chest, we find the translucent plastic that does indeed contain an Autobot symbol molded and painted within. This use of clear plastic is about the only proper way to use it. It's decorative. Nothing structurally relies upon it, and it just looks great here. I could stand for it being less tinted personally, like a smoke gray instead of a charcoal one, but in general, it really works here. As for accessories, to Grimlock himself, he comes with a double-barreled power pistol. And yeah, it looks great. It does the trick. No sword, though. Instead, you just get to club people with rhyme time over here. Oh well. Articulation features a ball-jointed head for a wide range of tilt and spin action. Arms on their 24-point ratchets with full outward movement. Double-jointed elbows allow for proper elbow movement or broken elbow movement.
Wheeljack!
Hand spin, but oddly no open. I mean, it doesn't have to. It just strikes me as a touch odd that a Voyager Deluxe and a Leader Voyager can do it for the sake of the Matrix, but didn't bother with Grimlock. But hey, you can also retract the hand and point the claws for some stabby action. Though maybe don't really do that. The gold paint is not the most durable paint I've worked with, and during a walk cycle I scratched it off by accident. I mean, if you're careful with it, it's fine. I'm just saying, it's not going to last if you're rough with it. Waist is full rotation, as well as my favorite hip joint configuration. That's right, no crotch flap, no solid waist with legs out from that to hinder the motion. We have waist panels that rotate for full forward and backward and outward movement. I honestly wish this design was used more often, as it's just so incredibly versatile. Knees bend 90 degrees, thighs rotate, and ankles tilt. Like, dang man, look at the Van Damme split. Look at the pointing and shooting. The robot, I feel, is a mode seen less often as the dinosaur, but they still went to all this trouble to make sure the robot posed just as dynamically, if not more so, than the Dino Grimlock, and it's just top-notch stuff. For size comparison, Earthrise Wheeljack, Cybertronian Optimus, Earth Mode Optimus, Dead Mode Optimus, Netflix B, Earthrise Cliffjumper, Studio Series Jazz, Studio Series Hot Rod, Kingdom Cyclonus. Like, no matter which way you slice it, Grimlock is a tall lad. He's properly leader class. Like, look at this lineup. All of these are priced at leader class figures. They're not even as tall as Voyager from 5 years ago, which, might I add, really bothers me for Astrotrain's sake. And yet here's Grimlock, for the first time in a long time, actually living up to the leader price point that those of us that have been collecting for a long time are used to have leader mean. It's not to say it's wrong for the current figures to be sized the way they are. That's great. But once in a while, it's nice to have a leader feel like a leader class, instead of the leaders that are really Voyagers, which is actually a deluxe, which are actually legends, which are now core class, which are really accessories. So that's my take on Grimlock. As a character, I've never been fond of him, but credit where credit is due. This is absolutely the best take on Grimlock I've ever seen, and I am super thrilled they're doing the rest of the Dinobots to this level of quality. I mean, my wallet's not happy that I'm having to spend 90 Canadian dollary dues 4 times in a row, plus probably a Voyager, especially when that price point means a pack-in character that's basically useless, but I mean, if this is any indicator of the rest of the Dino Team, I can safely say I'm on board. This has been the Lazy Eyebrow.
Hey, hope you all enjoyed that review of Studio Series 86 Grimlock. A figure that I ran the poll and did not expect to win. I actually expected Hot Rod to win, honestly, and I was all geared up to do that video, and then Grimlock won. Still gonna do Hot Rod, though. Hot Rod is amazing, and I gotta get to it. However, that's not the next review. The next review is going to be another dinosaur, Dinobot. This is kind of one, I'm not sure what to think of it. It's got its good modes, and it's got its bad points, and all that nonsense, but, well, I guess you'll hear my opinion about all of that in the next video, with probably a cameo from someone quite special as well, so who knows? Again, thanks to all the Patreons who've graciously supported, and thanks to Throne for sponsoring this video. It's amazing how far this channel has come, and I thank every one of you on the sidebar here. You've been absolutely wonderful, and I can't thank you enough. This has been the Lazy Eyebrow, and we'll see you all in the next review.